Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something intense. We've got this narrative source material exploring, well, a pretty unusual way of dealing with things.
Yeah, this heavy stuff. Profound grief, new love popping up unexpectedly, and some really, really tangled family dynamics.
Exactly. And our mission today is to kind of unpack the support structures, maybe radical support structures,
Yeah.
that show up when someone is just completely flattened by loss.
We start with the protagonist, Lenny, also called Helen Elena in the text. She's 6 months into what's described as just excruciating grief.
Right. Her best friend, Lou, died from cancer, and Lenny's response. It's a
Yeah.
full-blown mental health crisis.
It really is. I mean, the details are stark. She's living out of a backpack, basically homeless, though maybe by choice, sleeping rough sometimes, park
Or
benches.
the Staten Island ferry, back and
Waiting.
forth, just riding it. Because her apartment feels too empty, silent.
Yeah, avoiding the quiet, avoiding being still. But here's the strange part, the tension. At the same time, her mind is just constantly, compulsively creating these super detailed romantic fantasies about pretty much every guy she sees, instantly.
Wow, so total disconnect.
Yeah.
Your physical reality is frankly awful, but mentally she's escaping into these, like, hyper-idealized meet cutes.
Exactly, cognitive dissonance, right. She's using fantasy to just not be where she is,
Yeah.
to avoid the grief.
Okay, and then he shows up. Miles, he's the one who sort of yanks her back to reality.
That's a good way to put it. He's this brusque, very practical character, definitely an unexpected guide through this mess.
And that's what we're digging into, right? How this kind of structure, even antagonism maybe, can actually kickstart healing.
Yeah.
Because Miles is, well, he's not exactly Mr. Gentle.
Not at all. The first impression is mixed. Lenny notes he's low-grade sexy, but then he just glowers. And his first real interaction, it's hostile.
Okay, how hostile are we talking?
He sees her on the street, clearly distressed, looking rough, and jumps to conclusions, thinks it's maybe drugs or something, and he calls her a rotting carcass.
Whoa. Okay, hang on. A rotting carcass to someone in a deep depressive state. How does that help? Wouldn't that just crater someone?
It feels incredibly risky, narratively speaking. And look, it's crucial that later he gives this really sincere apology. Admits he completely misread the situation, saying,
Bang.
I thought one thing and it was wrong.
Okay, so there's acknowledgement.
Yes. But his core approach isn't about being sensitive. It's about radical availability. He sees her avoidance. He calls her out on the ferry rides, recognizes she's doing the fantasy thing, even says she did it with him when they first met.
So the bluntness, the antagonism almost, is like
Yeah.
breaking through her defenses, refusing to let her hide in the fantasy.
Kind of. It stops her from masking, maybe. He gets that this level of breakdown needs practical steps, not just, sympathetic noises.
Right. Structure over sympathy. Which leads us to his strategy.
Yeah.
His protocol for her. It's very basic, very functional.
It is. The formula he gives her for just getting through the day, managing the paralysis, something good for you, croissant, something bad for you, beer, and a change of scenery.
Simple. Almost crude, but functional.
And he's very clear. He says, look, this doesn't fix anything. It just buys you a little time. That's it.
And this practical approach, it comes from somewhere, right? His own history.
Absolutely. It's grounded in his own experience. Miles lost his mother and his cousin Anders about 10 years before this. He knows deep loss firsthand.
So he has that lived experience. He says grief is utterly discombobulating, right? And not like any other emotion. He understands you can't just think your way out of it.
Exactly. He knows you sometimes need that external push, that outward motion, even if it feels forced or artificial at first.
And is that why he helps her? Is it purely altruistic?
Well, he's pretty honest about his own needs, too. He admits he kind of needs a project to feel useful, like he needs something to manage, and Lenny and this list they work on becomes that project.
Okay, so it serves him too. But the promise he makes her, if we do this, I will not let you drown. That feels huge.
Yeah. It is. It's a promise born from having survived his own drowning, you could say. He's offering the strong support he thinks she needs, maybe recognizing that the gentle comfort she might want wouldn't actually break the inertia.
That idea of needing a project is interesting. It suggests he's not just some perfect savior. He's got his own stuff going on, his own needs.
Oh, absolutely, which brings us neatly to the next layer. His own incredibly high-stakes personal life he's trying to navigate at the same time. This complex family situation.
Right, the complex geometry, as the source calls it. He's trying to connect with Reese, who's his half-sister, and Ainsley, his niece.
And they share a father, Carpaulus, who isn't just anybody he's described as basically bluegrass and country royalty, toured with Willie Nelson, the whole deal.
Yeah.
And Miles turning up, well, it detonates things.
Because it shatters a core family story, right? This famous narrative about Karpalis.
Totally. The big story, the one that apparently won Carpe Grammy and cemented his image as this amazing family man, was that he supposedly hitchhiked across the country to be there when Reese was born.
A classic piece of music mythology.
Except, according to Miles's reality, it was a complete fabrication, a calculated lie for his career.
Wow. What was the truth then?
The truth Miles carries is that years earlier, Karp had actually turned Miles and his own mother away backstage, denied his existence to protect that wholesome family man image he was building, because Miles was the extramarital child.
Oof. So Miles showing up isn't just meeting a long-lost relative. It's
Yep.
like living proof that Reese's father, the man she idolized, built his public persona on a pretty devastating lie and betrayal.
Exactly. It completely reframes Reese's childhood, her father's legacy. So you can understand why she sees Miles with suspicion, maybe feels judged by his very presence.
Yeah, her whole world got exploded, as the
Wow.
text says. And Miles, he gets it intellectually, but he's still struggling.
He does get it. He understands why it's hard for her, but he's desperate to connect because Reese and Ainsley are, in his words, the only family left he has. The stakes are incredibly high for him, and it's almost paralyzing him in a different way than grief paralyzed Lenny.
That's a fascinating parallel. The guy who's all about practical structure for Lenny is kind of flailing when it comes to the emotional complexities with his own family.
Completely. And ironically, this is where Lenny, even in her own crisis, sort of steps up. She becomes his advisor, almost.
The person still sleeping on ferries is suddenly coaching him on connection.
Yeah. It's wild. He's literally taking notes in his Nancy Drew notebook, that's what he calls it, based on her advice about how to talk to his niece, Ainsley.
What kind of advice does she give him?
It's actually really insightful and kind of practical, mirroring his own approach, maybe. She tells him to stop with the direct, quiz-style questions. Don't ask Ainsley, how do you feel about your mom working late?
Okay. So what should he do?
Focus on immediate needs first. Is she hungry? Is she tired? Handle that stuff first in a really low-key way, and then get her talking about her own life, her world, indirectly. Let her lead.
Huh. It's practical observation again. Meeting needs, creating space. It's like she can see the patterns and structures externally, even if she can't apply them internally to her own grief.
Precisely. She sees the structural failure in his approach to Reese and Ainsley, even while her own life lacks structure. She's giving him a roadmap for building trust, while he's giving her one for just surviving the day.
And that shared need for structure for a roadmap leads us right to the list, doesn't it?
It does, the capital L list. This was originally something Lenny and Lou brainstormed before Lou died. A list of things to help Lenny come back to life.
Like seeing that K-pop band, Five Night, or finally going to the Met Museum. Concrete actions.
Yeah. And Miles becomes her list buddy, the person who makes sure she actually does the things. He provides the momentum she lacks.
It's like a physical manifestation of moving forward, step by step.
But then there's the twist. Miles has his own list, a secret one.
Ah, the Kiss Lenny list, which sounds purely romantic, but it's not, is it?
Not entirely. He eventually admits, yeah, it started maybe with that idea, but it quickly became something else. It became, as he says, about making sure you're okay.
So what was actually on his list? The real list?
Really practical, supportive things.
Mm-hmm.
Things like make sure she makes some new friends like Jericho, Rika, Jeffy, who appear in the narrative. Find her a safe place to actually sleep, which ends up being his tiny studio apartment sometimes.
Wow. Okay.
And even stuff like helping her deal with the clutter that accumulates when you're barely functioning, helping her clean up her temporary space. It's about functional care.
It really cements their connection as being about, active service.
Yeah.
He's providing the scaffolding for her life while she rebuilds.
Yes. And that deep level of support, that seeing her reality, leads to that really pivotal moment with the locket.
The locket. Tell us about that.
He gives her a locket, and inside it has a photo of her and Lou, her lost friend.
And her reaction.
It triggers joy, real, unexpected joy. And that's the turning point. She realizes, maybe for the first time, that she can still feel happiness, can still feel love, even while carrying this immense grief. The joy doesn't erase Lou.
It coexists, which feels like a healthier place.
Exactly. It shows Miles gets it. Healing is about integration, not about replacing the person you lost. And this fits with his own philosophy about relationships, too, which we learn about from his past girlfriend, Kira.
Right, he has this whole theory about relationships having phases.
Yeah, he doesn't see love as just one static thing, especially not just that initial white-hot phase. He uses these metaphors.
Like driving across the country, you need different gears for different terrains.
Exactly. Or spending a whole day at the pool. You don't just do cannonballs the entire time. There's floating, there's swimming laps, there's just sitting by the edge.
So he's looking for something sustainable, something natural, as he puts it, beyond just romance or intense passion.
Yeah, something built on companionship, shared function, something that can endure through all those different phases. He understands that bonds need to adapt.
And that understanding of adaptation, of integration, seems crucial for the final big step Lenny takes, the really symbolic one.
Oh, absolutely. The hair cutting. This is huge.
Because Lou had asked her to grow her hair out, right? So for 6 months post-loss, that long hair was like a living link to Lou, a promise she was keeping.
It was a physical manifestation of her grief and her connection. And finally, Lenny decides to cut it.
Which must have been incredibly painful. A letting go.
Painful, yes, but necessary. It marks this huge shift away from clinging to the grief itself as her only remaining connection to Lou. And Miles is just there, quietly supporting her through it.
He doesn't try to stop her or tell her she'll regret it.
No, he gets it. He understands that healing isn't forgetting. His own history taught him that. Lou doesn't disappear. The grief maybe just becomes your companion, as the source suggests. It gets integrated into a life that's moving forward again.
And she donates the hair, right? For wigs, for kids with cancer.
Yeah, turning the act of letting go into something positive, something active, a choice to re-engage with life.
Okay, so stepping back from all these details, what's the big takeaway here, if we boil it down?
I think it's the surprising power of structure, sometimes even uncomfortable structure over just passive comfort, especially in the face of debilitating paralysis like Lenny's grief.
It wasn't about someone gently coaxing her. It was about external, practical actions. Eating the croissant, drinking the beer, cleaning the apartment, checking things off that list.
Actions forced, or at least strongly encouraged, by this partner, Miles, who was himself deeply flawed but also radically available. He provided the framework she couldn't build for herself.
And the list, both lists really, forced her to accumulate new moments, new experiences that started to fill the space that despair had totally occupied.
Right. It's about accumulation, not just coping moment to moment. And Miles's rule, that core promise, if we do this, I will not let you drown. That says it all. It's support built on reliability, on showing up with zero expectation that it will be easy or comfortable.
Which leaves us with a really provocative thought, maybe, for you listening. When life just feels like total chaos, when you're overwhelmed, we often think we want, or maybe even need, that gentle comfort, soft words, validation.
The easy stuff.
But maybe, just maybe, the strongest form of actual self-care in those moments is choosing to lean into the strong support you truly need, even if that support feels challenging, uncomfortable, even if it means embracing a kind of vulnerability that feels terrifying, rather than settling for the gentle reassurance that might just keep you stuck.